So I was asked to do a home practice kind of sequence, and I'm going to be teaching that this week in my lessons. And what I decided to do was base it around some classic stuff that are going to be really helpful to keep the body moving. So I don't mind standing up. I'm going to start sitting down. I'm going to briefly get into this because obviously when I do these things it takes forever to load up on my website. So what are we doing? So obviously make sure you feel comfortable before you start, that you're going to listen to your body, that you're okay to practice yoga. And we're going to start with biomechanics. So look at my feet wiggling around. So biomechanics is joint freeing exercises. So we're going to start with toes, we can do fingers. And then we can point feet and point hands, like a puppy, begging for food. And then we're going to circle. I would do more of these. I'm just kind of rushing through this because obviously I don't want to. Feels weird to do this, doesn't it? Right. Okay. So that's kind of that. I would like to say spend a bit more time doing it if it was down to you. But then also I'm not going to disappear off the camera. I'm going to. Staying on the camera. Well done, me. I'm going to extend my right leg up to the ceiling. I'm working on my knee at this point. Pushing heel up. Is obviously stretching calf, it's stretching hamstring, it's contracting and releasing, freeing the front of my leg, but also like squishing the back of the knee, which is creating lots of space as well. Kneecap. And then I'm going to extend that leg up to the ceiling. Oh, it's going to disappear off the camera because I'm rubbish at filming things. Here is my pelvis. I'm just rocking it backwards and forwards, but at the base of my pelvis, right about here, is where I want to bring some weight. I'm going to try and tilt that into the floor. As I do that, that is lengthening out my spine. I'm thinking about my ribs here being in line with the front of my pelvis, and then I'm extending the heel up, and then all I'm doing is lowering the leg. I know you can't see it, but it is lowering. Oh, you can see my calf going up and down. I'm just going to do that maybe 5 times. And what I'm trying not to do is to let the back round. That back is staying nice and still, so pelvis and ribs are aligned. So core thing, and then I'm going to bring the knee in, and I'm going to circle. If you want, you can straighten the leg and do it with the straight leg. Whee! But you know, whichever. So knee bent, knee or leg straight, whichever is better for you. Place the leg down. We're going to just come into a nice little stretch, which I really love doing, and this is for the fascia. So fascia, you've got some lines of it that run down the body that govern the posture in lots of ways, and fascia is attached to the muscles, the bones. It's like literally everywhere. It's the webbing. So I'm going to be asking you to do firstly the first one with the leg with the foot flat and the leg as straight as you can. So it might be that your leg bends to this position, but that's as straight as it's going to be, and I want you to work with your straight. Then your pelvis again. So if I don't have awareness of my pelvis, I can drop my back, and you know it's rounded, and I can't get my hand underneath it. So I'm now going to be tilting my pelvis forwards. So I've got a little gap behind my back, so it's lengthened. And again, what I'm not doing is arching the back, so my ribs, again, the lowest ribs are lined up to the front of the pelvis, and my heel is extended. I'm going to now keep lifting my heel up, and I'm pushing my hip to the floor. You might use a belt at this point, but I can get my hands around the back of the leg. And so I'm going to keep lifting it through the heel, pushing down through the hip as I draw the leg to the body. So notice I'm not doing this. Notice I'm not doing this either. My hips are planted, my leg is straight, and this is a global stretch. And then I'm just going to bend the knee a little bit, and then I'm pointing the toe and doing the same thing. So pointing the toe, look to the fascia from the front of the foot to the face. So leg is lifting up, toe is pointing up, hip is planting down, and again, moving here. So let's do that the same at the opposite side. So again, heel. So neutral pelvis, the tailbone is planted, hips are level, ribs are level, and again lowering the leg. Knee comes in, circle. And then so again I'm rushing this a little bit, so you can obviously just keep doing that for a few moments. Extending the heel up, pushing the hip down. Again, the pelvis is neutral, so I've got pubic bone, I've got the front of the hips, and those ribs are level. And then hands are interlaced around the back of the leg, lifting the heel, planting the hip, and again drawing that leg towards the body. So that is a movement from the back of the neck, through the shoulders, down the lumbar, to the heel, and then bending the knee, and then I'm going to do it with the pointed toe. So this now switches to the front of the body. It's trying to stretch from the tip of the toe all the way to the face. So again, extend up. And then just release. Just bring the knees into the body. And then I'm going to come up over onto all fours. And so we're going next into some cat-cow. And I'm going to face this way because this is where I don't know, for some reason I like to face this way. So for cat-cow, my hands are underneath my shoulders. And my elbows are not bent and they're not locked out. So that's locked out, but with shoulders that looks really gross. So I'm going to push into index fingers and thumbs, and that is going to engage the muscles a little bit. And I'm really pushing through the palms, and then I'm going to take an in-breath and tuck the tailbone under. So those arms are rooted, head falls forward, so really opening out the back ribs. And then exhale, lifting the hips. And I'm letting the chin, keeping the chin in. So if I lift my chin, it's going to really loosen stuff inside. So keeping that chin tucked in, lengthening up from the crown of the head and sit bones. And then in-breath, pushing into hands, tailbone comes under. Out breath. In breath. So just playing with that a few times. You can be really fancy. You can bring the knee in. And you can take a knee back. So if you keep taking the knee back, you want to think about your hips staying level and a little bit of a pulse of the foot. That is going to tighten up the buttocks a little bit, and it's going to use the buttocks. It's also going to use the hamstring. In breath. Out breath. So as you're doing that, what you're trying not to do is collapse here. So keep pushing through the hands, keeping that spine long. You're going to really notice the muscles of the tummy working. In breath. Out breath. So that's a little option. Switching to the opposite side. So again, you can keep just doing our cat-cow. And as you're doing your cat-cow, you're trying to sense a whole spinal movement, that we're not just stopping here and dropping the head. So we're trying to really encourage that movement from the tailbone. I'm really feeling this actually now from my tailbone into my lumbar. It's coming into the ribs, it's coming into the neck. So you've got a really good spinal awareness. And as I lift my tailbone, I have a tendency to drop into my lower back, so I'm actually trying not to kind of collapse into the lower back and bring my heart to the floor. I'm actually trying to think about the lengthening the spine, spreading that movement up into my chest. That's it. I can feel it now into collarbones. Again, chin comes in. So let's add in the little knee bit. In breath. Out breath. So hips are even. Push. In breath. My right hip is over my right knee. It isn't kind of shifting out to the side. So I'm just trying to keep that spine nice and stable in the centre. Okay, so planting the feet down, taking the bottom to the heels. I'm going to spread my hands. I'm going to think about pushing those hands into the floor. Pushing the hands, I'm just going to come forward a little bit more. Pushing those hands into the floor. I'm trying to push them forwards towards the front of that. And as I do that, I'm rolling onto the balls of feet, and then I'm rising up into down facing dog. Notice that I haven't straightened the legs and collapsed. There's a little bit of a bend in the knee, and I'm really focusing on where my tailbone and my sacrum and my spine and all this is. So is my spine straight? I could think, yes, my spine's straight and be pushing back, and actually I'm extending my shoulders. You see my shoulders are kind of really pushing. So I'm trying to think about my bones resting into each other. And then obviously listen to the breath. Let's take myself forwards to standing and up to Tadasana. So here I am, so I'm rushing through. I want to take us into a Sun Salutation. So Sun Salutation is a lovely global movement for the body. So I'm looking down to feet, my feet are in line with the hips, my head's fallen forwards, my arms are nice and loose like a little ragdoll, my knees are bent, my hips are shifted back. And I'm being really droopy in particular here. I want to see, imagine I've got a lovely C shape down the spine. So I'm beginning to straighten my legs. I'm not tricky in these silly trousers, but my hip bones have gone forwards over the toes, and I'm not collapsing here. I'm now going to lift. So I'm lifting my belly button away from my hips, my ribs away from my belly button. And I'm lifting my heart and letting my shoulders drop back. And here is my tailbone. I'm going to pull it back over my heels, so thigh bone straighten, and I've just rested down through the bones. In breath, hands come up, out breath, bending the knees and coming down to the floor again. Just relaxing back of the neck. See how the legs are straightened? Are bent. So what we don't want to do really is straighten the legs and kind of hang. So again, find a way to let this happen. Back of the neck is lengthened. Again, breathing here. In breath, stepping the left foot behind, and again I've lost camera, dropping the left knee to the floor. Your right foot is going to be really good at stabilising you. So my right knee is over my ankle, I'm going to push and this bringing my pelvis to neutral. So again, I'm not sinking here. I mean, you can, and then it asks quite a lot of stability through the lower back. So I do like to bring the pelvis into alignment. So now I've got my aces here, my pubic bone is aligned, and then over the top of my ribs, heart, head, in breath. Out breath, coming down. And I'm stepping back into plank. So plank can be a few things. Plank can be shoulders over wrists. And then you're creating a line from the armpits to the knees, the navel's pulled in. So what we're not doing is sagging, that's a different thing. So you're trying to bring that spine into neutral line, so you're going to feel the core support. Or you can push the heels back and come into plank, resting through bones. Drop the knees, come all the way down onto front. So my head's disappeared. Down there. So slide your hands back. So they're kind of near the belly, and that is going to stop you from pushing. Roll the shoulders round, back and down, and then push the tops of feet into the floor. And then you're going to rise up. So rise up, use the muscles at the back. Push into the hands, take the bottom, knees under the hips. Drop the bottom to the heels, and rise up again into downward facing dog. Stepping the left foot forwards towards the left hand, and again dropping the right knee. And then use your left foot to push, pelvis comes to neutral, ribs come to neutral, lengthen up through the spine. In breath, raise up the fingers. And you can try to let that crown of the head reach up, so lengthen the waist. Exhale, sinking down. Pushing into the left foot, stepping into fold. And then rise up to standing.